Welcome to Democracy 2.0 with my Democratic hero, Wayne Bouchard. And you're listening to this on malcolmpresents.com, a new streaming internet station or platform that has, this is one of several shows, but of course, the most delightful show and the most informative one. Anyway, hey, Wayne, what's happening?
Well, I think good afternoon, first of all.
Oh, good afternoon. Yeah, actually, it's afternoon here also. Wayne isn't.
I think you should have referred to me as not your Democratic hero, but your hero of democracy.
Ah, okay. Pardon me. Yeah, well, actually, what's going on now? This is what our show's about. It's democracy, and if there's a way of subverting democracy, and it seems like there's an ex-president that's trying to subvert us.
It certainly is becoming evident to a lot of people that there is a lot more to what happened leading up to January 6th and what continues today. I think the thing that I am very, very pleased to see is that a handful of brave people, and they knew that they were going to be subjected to an awful lot of criticism and threats, but a handful of brave people, including the Vice President of the United States, Pence, stood up to the power of the president, and they exercised their constitutional duty, even though they weren't happy with the results. They did what they were supposed to do under the Constitution of the United States, and I think that gives me hope for our democracy. This whole issue of the peaceful transition of power has been with this nation since its inception. Since George Washington retired his commission in the Continental Army to become president, there was that peaceful transition of power. Jefferson had an issue. I was amazed to learn that Lincoln thought he would lose the election, his second election, and he wrote down, what it meant, the peaceful transition of power, and he had each one of his cabinet officials put their initials next to it. Yeah. And then, of course, we have the infamous Al Gore, who could have thrown this nation into chaos, but instead,
legitimately.
Yes, legitimately. He put the country, the needs of the country before his own personal ambition and his own personal pride. And I think that's one of the important things that I've taken away from these 3 days of hearings so far, in addition to a whole lot of new information that we've gotten, which to me is just mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling to think how close we came to a revolution. They talked about it in today's hearing. There would be people in the streets, and then of course there would be the long-term consequences that we would pay. But
well, I think we have yet to see the long-term consequences, because as far as I can see, their side, at least the Trump side, still don't believe what's being said. I just have to see the results of the big lie, because right now there are a group of people who still believe in the big lie that Biden was really not the president of the United States. It was stolen from Trump. despite all the thing that's come out.
It's interesting to note that, first of all, Trump's at the center of this whole thing. There's no question about it. He is directly in the center, and he is orchestrating all of these activities around him, and I think January 6th was the culmination of an attempted coup, and as some judge said, and I think I could talk about that a little later, it was a coup in search of a legal theory. They had no legal justification. Trump, ex-President Trump, Donald Trump, was personally responsible for the worst attack on the U.S. Capitol since the British ransacked it in 1814, not 1884, 1814. And he still remains the biggest threat to American democracy in a long time. There haven't been many people in our history who have been so set on overthrowing our government as Donald Trump.
Well, the thing is, it's also a lot remains to be seen, because in the presidential election of 2022, but it's not presidential, but 2024, depending on who wins. I mean, if the Democrats win, which I don't necessarily want Biden to run again, but anyway, if the Democratic Party wins, will the Republicans accept this? Or they have set up now the substructure where the local governments, can, if they disagree, they don't have to necessarily accept what the the results of the federal election in each individual states. And they're building, and there are a lot of major swing states that are now Republican controlled, or will be Republican controlled. So the revolution might still be ahead.
Well, it'll be a matter of time whether we see how many patriots really exist in this country, how many Mike Pence's and Liz Cheney's and like others, will there be to stop this? Because the testimony is showing that they're prepared to try this again in 2024. And this whole nonsense about the big lie, the big lie that the election was stolen. The evidence was that Trump's campaign staff was telling him the night of the election, we're going to lose. Trump's legal counsel was telling him, we're going to lose. The Attorney General of the United States, which Donald Trump, nominated and put into power, Bill Barr, testified that Trump's claims that there was widespread fraud in the election was just pure bullshit.
Yeah,
and that's the word bullshit 3 times in his testimony.
But what I can't understand, I know, I speak to a lot of different opinions on the different shows. Mm-hmm. There are people who say, well, number one, they say this is false news, that it's being played up too much. That the reason that they have the Senate committee is to to take the spotlight from Biden giving up the ruining the stock market and the and stop talking about inflation and stop talking about the rise of gas. This is only a ploy, but this is really not important. It's only petty. That it really wasn't. And I'm not sure what's ringing, but
my lights are flashing.
Sounds like my phone. There might be a tornado in Southern California.
Well, the interesting thing, Malcolm, is today's witnesses.
Yeah,
all of them were Republicans. Every single witness that testified against Donald Trump the big lie, and this whole concept of how we would legally and constitutionally return all the electoral votes back to states like Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, et cetera, et cetera.
And the big thing is the way they're setting up the infrastructure now with the control of state governments. That again might happen in 2024.
Well,
It's very possible.
Even Trump's daughter testified that she believed Attorney General Barr's conclusions that there was no fraud. She testified that she believed that.
Right.
Along with a whole slew of the people who didn't. It's interesting because on election night, who did Trump go to talk to? His campaign staff, his legal counsel? No, he went to talk to Rudy Giuliani, who by all accounts was intoxicated.
Right.
Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman.
Was Giuliani subpoenaed to testify?
Yes, he refused to testify.
Yeah, okay, and I know Eastman did refuse to testify.
Eastman testified today, and he took the Fifth Amendment over 100 times.
It seems like the old day of the mafia.
Yeah, and they quoted Trump. Trump made a comment once about, why do these guys in the mob take the Fifth Amendment so many times?
Because they're guilty.
They don't want to tell the truth or something to that effect.
Yeah, because they're guilty. That was if they take the Fifth, they're guilty.
Yeah. On the first night of the hearings, Liz Cheney ended the hearing. And here again, I thought that, never in my wildest imagination would I become a big fan of Liz Cheney's, but, I think she's done a remarkable job. She said, tonight, I say to my Republican colleagues, wherever you are, who are, defending the indefensible, she said, there will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
Right, I heard that. Well, someone was talking about I guess it's the 50th anniversary of Watergate.
Right.
And someone will say, in those days, the Congress people, the senators ceased to become Republicans or Democrats. They became Americans.
Correct.
And, the problem is today, these people are not becoming Americans. They're Republicans, and then they just go. We hear everything you say, but
I'm not even sure that Malcolm. I'm not even sure that they're Republicans first. I believe that they are so narcissistic and self-centered that they only are considering their own self-interest. And I can almost guarantee you that some of these Republicans, not all of them, but some of them, don't believe a word of this crap. And all they're doing is they're thinking that this is a way for me to get ahead in my district. Then I can run as senator, or if I'm a senator, I can run for president or maybe become a cabinet member. This is my ticket to the future.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to get in here and I'm just going to talk it up. Just going to talk it up because it's good stuff.
Well, it was interesting. The other week, I was listening to one of the broadcasts, and they were saying that many of the Republicans sort of agree. They are anti-Trump, but they can't come out, and they like what's happening. With the hearings, because they can get rid of Trump without publicly getting rid of him. They don't have to declare themselves.
So they're going to sit on the sidelines.
Right.
I saw a news clip of I saw a news clip either this week or last week of Walter Cronkite first of all, was there any better news announcer than Walter Cronkite?
Well, Walter Cronkite during the Vietnam War was, the most trusted broadcaster in the
Yes.
world.
So Walter Cronkite was talking about a committee of senators led by Senator Barry Goldwater, who was the 1964, I believe, nominee for president.
Republican nominee who was a staunch conservative from Arizona.
Oh, absolutely. The most staunch conservative in the country at the time. He led this group of senators, Republicans, senators and congressmen, to the White House to tell President Nixon it's time to resign. They gave up the principle of the party first and adapted that principle of America first.
So that must have been more towards in the 70s or 68.
Oh, it was in 1976, I believe.
Well, I think he left
Or 77 even.
Well, Watergate was 72.
Yeah, but it didn't come out in the hearings until 76. I believe it was after the 76 elections. Or it could have been before the election. And those were midterm elections.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he was elected president already in 72? What, 76?
74.
74.
68 and 68, and it would have been 72. Right. You're correct.
And,
Wait a minute.
but 72.
Well, they took office in 69,
Right, okay. Someplace around there.
Someplace around. I know because I was heavily involved in politics at the time, and I ran myself for Congress in 1976, I believe it was. And lost. Thank God.
You could have been one of the corrupt congressmen from.
I could have, I could have been a contender.
Yeah.
I could have been a contender.
Well, that's one day what I'd like to do is get together to see. Let's say we had our druthers and we could reconstruct, what's happening now, or the Senate and the House of Rep. What would we do? What would we recommend? If we could, change the election laws as far as who can contribute what and how much money they could do, and to extend what I would love to see is the House of Rep extended to 4 years instead of 2 years. 2 years is ridiculous, and maybe even the senators reduced to 4 years instead of 6 years.
Well, then you'd have terrible crossover problems.
And have term limits. Term limits is definitely something that I want to see. To me, it's ridiculous to someone that's been, that can spend 50, 60 years as a member of Congress. And now, I mean, they're that old, I guess. When you died at 40 or 50, you couldn't serve in the government that long because you'd be dead. Now people are living into their 80s.
Well, I think the big issue with the current political structure is this whole business of campaign financing and that Supreme Court decision of
Citizens United,
and which allows corporations. Corporations are what's running this country today.
Corporations are like people.
Corporations are like people, and you remember all those corporations that said that they would not donate any more money to congressmen and senators who were going to talk about election fraud, and that the 2020 election really went to Donald Trump and not Joe Biden. You remember those guys?
Yep.
There was, I think, a couple of hundred major corporations. Well, guess what?
Have they changed their mind yet?
Yes, they are. They've changed their mind. I think there's I think I read the other day there's like 100 and something that are, they've reopened their spigots and are donating money to people that they think are necessary. However, there are still a considerable number of companies that are not donating money based on the big lie kind of theory.
Yeah, it's amazing that people are still believing the big lie.
Yeah, I think there are companies, if I can remember correctly, there's like Cisco, Lyft, Zillow, Marriott, I know is one of them, and maybe Nike and PepsiCo are the ones that still are not donating money.
Well, but the thing that I'm disappointed at, I think aside from the government, I'm not really happy with what's happening with inflation, with the gas prices, and the fact that we're not doing anything. The president is really not taking a harder line on things. I think he has to take a harder. He has to become a leader. I don't think he's a leader. He's trying to become a conciliator. He's trying to mediate. He's not taking the lead.
Were you trying to say consulary?
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah, I know.
That's the Italian
The
phrase
Italian, yeah.
for attorney.
Robert Duvall, even the Godfather.
Here again, I hate to keep saying this, but I think it's the fact that big business is running our government.
Well, the thing I'm not impressed with big business running the government. I'm not impressed with the government running our government, but I'm not impressed by big business running the government, because how the hell did they get 80% of the children's formula built by one company, by Abbott, and they had other things? How could they let all the computer chips be built overseas? There's so many things because of money that they let happen, that they really didn't control. They set up their corporations overseas because they could make more money. Who are the ones that built the factories and the manufacturing in China or in Korea or in the countries? American, that was backed by American money.
Absolutely. And why doesn't the president call all major oil companies, including foreign oil companies, into the White House and tell them, I want you guys to drill for oil? We can all talk about climate change, but do we want to continue to pay $5-6 a gallon for gas?
Well, I was just talking to my son. We live out in Southern California, and he gets a high test. So he said he was running low on gas. He didn't want to take a chance. He pulled into the first gas station. He paid $7.18 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
$7.18 a gallon.
First of all, you should tell them there is no engines today that are manufactured either in the U.S., Germany, Japan, Korea that require high test gasoline. They all can run on 87 octane.
Yeah. Well, it's supposedly he has a high performance car.
Yeah, that's BS. I'll use Attorney General Bill Barr's terminology.
Bull.
So
what else is new? What do you think of what Biden is doing with the gas? You think we should be drilling more?
We're not drilling. We are not drilling.
Do you think
and also the American oil companies have made obscene amounts of profits, as have other large corporations. One of the president's major weapons is the bully pulpit. He's not.
I don't like it. He's not a bully.
He's trying to be a nice guy. Nice guys finish last.
That's what I have against him. Not his policies. I agree with his policies, and I agree with the Build Back Better, but he can't get it through because he's trying to reason with, well, number one, either the Republican Party or he's with Manchin and Sinema. And they're preventing him. Everybody says, "Oh, Democrats should do more. They have majority." No, they don't have. The House of Rep put through bills, but they can't get it through the Senate because they have these. It's a 50-50, and at least one Democratic senator that says no.
Yeah,
So he doesn't have-
we've talked about this before.
Yeah, but that still has to be talked about. I mean, at least for the next year. And
Well,
and, and I don't know what's going to happen in the midterm elections, because if prices continue the way they are, and Biden doesn't step up to do something that's really assertive, he's trying to get the cooperation of the Republicans, and that ain't going to happen. We're going to be we'll lose at least the House, and hopefully we'll keep the Senate, but we'll definitely lose the House. And then forget about, for 2 years, nothing can go through.
and then if the Republicans win the presidency in 2024
I'm moving.
and have control of both houses of Congress, you're in trouble.
Well, I'm going to find out how. Well, I hear Portugal. A lot of Americans are moving to Portugal. It's supposed to be a good place to live. My wife, being Salvadorian, wants to move to El Salvador, but I'm not that thrilled with what she is. But I'm not thrilled with the new president, Bukele, because he's turning more like into a dictator. I mean, the policy he's done is good, but it's still like when the Salvadorian Supreme Court, didn't like what he did, he suspended them. And when he wanted something the Senate to put through, he took the soldiers into the meeting with him.
Well,
So-
that's maybe what we'll end up with after 2024. Are there going to be any consequences for these guys?
Well, the question is, do you know when things are bad? If I buy an AK-15,
AR-15,
AR-15,
whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
who the hell knows? What do I know?
Uh,
I've never shot a gun in my life.
Some federal judge said that that Trump knew and planned this whole overturning of the election, and he knew it was illegal all along. He knew it was illegal. Giuliani knew it was illegal. All of the members of his staff knew it was illegal. Are they going to have to pay consequences for their actions? Or are they going to get away with it? I think that's going to be a telling tale.
Well, I think
if they are able to walk, I don't know how many people they've put in jail already. It's been, it's been quite a few.
Yeah, well, they put the people who invaded the Capitol in jail, but they haven't put any of the politicians in jail or any of the advisors for Trump.
Correct. So when do those guys face consequences?
I don't know. Well, my question to you is also, it seems like the DOJ, can they independently indict someone without the recommendation of the Senate, without the Senate committee?
Sure, they have asked the Senate committee for the transcripts so that they can further investigate.
But can they independently indict?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So why the hell aren't they doing it?
Because they don't have the evidence yet.
The evidence that was introduced today.
Well, they have not investigated it yet.
Oh.
They're going to have to investigate it and make sure that it's accurate and it hasn't been diluted or enhanced in any way, and they make their decision. But I think it's telling that a couple of conservative federal judges have already said that they believe there have been crimes committed, and the one that testified today, this judge that testified today, said that Donald Trump remains a clear and present danger to American democracy.
And I agree. And all they have to do is call me up. I'll confirm it.
All they have to do is call me up as well, and I will tell them that we should have some sort of a select group of federal investigators take over all this information and indict the responsible parties.
But make that a 24/7 type of operation. Let's get this over with, done with, because if we're waiting till the new Congress is put in, and when we don't control, and the Dems don't control the House, I doubt whether anybody is going to be convicted of anything.
Oh, they will overturn the entire committee,
Right.
and then they will put forth a committee to impeach Biden.
Right. Yeah, that's definite. Anyway, would you believe our time is up?
Once again, we have thoroughly wasted 30 minutes of everyone's valuable time.
No, are you kidding? The only people that we've wasted the time is people who believe in Donald J. Trump. And because I've gotten to arguments in the last week with people saying, no, this is only a diversion. He's not guilty of anything. It's a diversion. We're trying to not pay attention to the gas prices and to inflation. Look what Biden did, and then they go into a whole tirade against Biden. It's totally negating what Trump has done. And Trump is the one that has created all these people. He created the Frankensteins. Anyway, thank you much.
Right.
I'm looking forward to hearing the news of next week and discussing it with you.
Okay, Malcolm.
Say hello to Meg for me, and we'll speak later.
All right, take care. Good night. Yes.